Okay, so first things first, let's go and put some fuel in the aeroplane, shall we? So we're going to do that. We'll take the co-pilot payload out so we can hopefully have more fuel without overloading the aeroplane. And close that. So we have to remember now how to start up the Globe Swift. It's been a while. So if you've not seen this aeroplane, it's been out for quite a while in the simulator. It's a wonderful little, I guess early 1940s, late 1930s aircraft in the simulator. It might even be mid-30s, but it's a wonderful looking little aeroplane. It's got very kind of Art Deco styling. And it handles wonderfully, or it used to. I haven't flown it for a very long time in the simulator. So we're going to have a look through the clipboard and see what we have to do. So fuel selector goes to open. So there's the switch down here for the fuel selector. And obviously we've got no power on yet, so the gauges aren't showing anything. So let's go and find our way around it. If I get rid of the yokes for the moment, let's just have a little look around the cockpit. So we've got cowl flaps. We've got the gear switch, we've got the flaps, so let's just check things work. Flaps works. Let's just check the control surfaces seem to work. Let's go and put the head tracking on. Yep, that's all working. How about the tail surfaces? Yeah, we can see everything working out there, that's all good. Okay, so let's have another look then. So we got the sun is really shining on the fascia, which is making it a bit of a nightmare to see anything. So we'll put the master power switch on, and we'll put the mixture to rich, push for rich. Parking brake is on, which is good. Pull the starter, we don't have to yet. So there's the fuel pump. We crack the throttle open. And then we... Okay, do we need to prime it maybe? Where's the primer? Oh, it would help if we turn the magnetos on, wouldn't it? But does it have a primer? Have we missed it? I don't think so. Pull on for parking brakes. Let's try that again. Nope. Let's try exercising the... I must be missing something here. Carb heat, pull on, pull on. No, that shouldn't be on for startup. Interesting. Fuel selector's on. I wonder if these... Let's just have a read of the instructions again. See if we've missed anything obvious. So throttle open, mixture to rich, prop area clear, make sure master switch is on, fuel pump on, starter pull out, remember to push back in, oil pressure check within limits. Yeah, so there's no primer. So let's go and try that again, shall we? So fuel pump on. Maybe we just didn't have enough throttle. And then start. I think I just needed to hold the starter. So starter goes back in, fuel pump can come off, and we'll hold it at 1000 RPM for a few moments and go and have a look at the needles, see what's going on. So oil pressure is good, temperature is climbing slowly. So we'll calibrate the altimeter. I think it was already calibrated, to be honest. So lights are the little switches over here, so we can't actually see them with the sun shining on them. So let's go and have a look. So there's the nav lights, there's the strobes, the pitot, heat, and the... It's difficult to see with the sun on it, isn't it? We might have to turn the aeroplane around just to see it. hydraulic pump pushed to on. Interesting, but it doesn't actually say what that's for on the instructions here. I'm presuming it's going to be for the undercarriage, but we'll soon find out. Okay, so let's go and turn some radio kit on if it will let us. So that's going to be the avionics master switch. Okay, so we get an ADF and we get a nav radio and a comm radio, and we've got a very basic localizer needle up here. Okay, shall we go and see how we get on with this then? Let me just check what lights we did have over there again. So this was the strobe. I'm going to put the strobe on now. I know it's not tremendously correct, and put the pitot on as well. Right, I'm going to move my coffee mug out of the way before I knock it flying. Okay. Let me just check the volume levels, make sure you can hear me over the top of the airplane. It turns really, really quickly on the ground. So let's just center this up. Should we see if we can... Do we have to click on these to pull them up? How do they work? Let me just bring the airplane to a halt for a moment. That's the lights. Is there a click spot on the windows to make them close? Am I being blind here? Ah, there we go. That's better. Should we see if we can sit up a little bit so we can at least see out of the canopy? I don't want the girls come out of the hangar to watch us taxi past. Just looking at the live stream comments there, there's Spirit of Montgomery is talking about the Vulcan video I did some time ago. You're more than welcome. I always forget this is downhill here at Kern Valley, down towards the runway. It's always a bit of a struggle to keep the airplane, especially with some of these old tail draggers, to keep the speed in check. So I'm just going to idle it all the way down the hill. Let's, this doesn't have a directional gyro, does it? It's very, very basic. So we have to keep our wits about us and use the magnetic compass along our way. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat. I've had a bit of a cold the last few days. Add to that kind of trying to stand up a new airline on the internet, and writing documentation for it, and answering support calls, and looking at source code, and populating databases, and communicating with endless people. It's been a struggle. And then fitting that around home and work as well. So we're just taxiing down the airfield here. Where's the windsock? There's going to be a slight crosswind for takeoff. Not much. So we're not going to use flaps for takeoff. Shouldn't need them in this. But we are going to go the full runway length. I don't fancy taking my chances with not having the full runway available to me. Especially because I'm not very familiar with the aeroplane, so see how we get on with it. I seem to remember it has a habit at low speed of being quite unstable because it's so small, obviously. So you do have to give it quite some respect. Okay, here comes the runway. Try and get the tail up. Whoa! I think my controllers might not be quite configured correctly, but anyway, we'll persevere. Giving the wings a waggle just to make sure the ailerons are actually working. It's a handful, let's put it that way. Let's keep an eye on that airspeed. I think the wind today might be playing some games with the aeroplane. It's fishtailing around, look. That's not me doing that. So well, I might have to just revert. Some of the old aeroplanes that came out quite early on in Flight Simulator's life don't play nicely with wind. Yeah, look, without that crosswind, it's behaving itself. So we've gone to few clouds instead of the real weather. Okay, let's just do a quick circuit back round over Kern Valley before we leave. So we're about 75–80% throttle, and we're doing about... Now, is this in miles an hour? It probably is, isn't it? There's no marker on it though. It's of an age though before they put knots on the airspeed. So this is Kern Valley that we've just left. This scenery is a free download from FlightSim.2. There's a developer that has made a number of airfields and done a really good job with them in this area. So let's just push ourselves away from the window slightly so the head tracking doesn't keep putting my head through the glass. Let's have a look at it from outside. I'm not going to tempt fate with making it spin. Okay, so there's Kern Valley. So we are going to head southwest. So we'll go out across the lake. Let's just get it trimmed out. And go and have a look at the map and see where we're going. Okay, so we want to go southeast actually, not southwest. So we'll follow Isabella Lake around and then out across the hills out towards Kelso Valley, and we'll go kind of airfield hopping along the way. It's quite quick in a straight line actually, so this flight shouldn't take too long. Famous last words, of course. So if we open it up, actually let's go and look at the temperatures before we do that. So RPM, okay, so you can't really redline the RPMs. Manifold pressure, this tops out at 25. Just wonder what will happen to the temperatures if we run it at maximum throttle. If the oil might get too hot, maybe. So I guess just before we do get going on the trip, shall we go and put it through some tests to see how much of a handful it really is. So steep climb, speed is coming off, cut the throttle, full elevator, and it stalls in a straight line. Oh, it tries to drop a wing then though. Steep climb, turning. It's very, very docile actually. It was just getting off the runway was a problem. Maybe I tried to rotate too early and it didn't want to fly just yet. Okay, at least we know what to expect now when it gets to the edge of its envelope. Okay, so if we go out down the end of the lake here, if we have a look at the map, we can see we'll follow that mountain range round. Or we could go straight over the top, I guess, but then we go up into the cloud. I wonder what it rolls like. Should we try it? So, it rolls on its axis actually. It's very, very docile. It's almost like a fighter plane. It hasn't got much in the way of adverse yaw, if anything. So what I mean by that, quite often in aeroplanes, you will see one wing will have more drag than the other with aileron deflection, and it will cause the aircraft to yaw during roll. But this doesn't. It goes in a pretty much a straight line. It is very, very similar to a fighter plane, isn't it? I wonder if they've modelled anything to do with the engine. If we hold it upside down, I wonder if the engine dies. No. But without knowing what engine it's got in it, you wouldn't know if it's got injection or not. So, or if it's been simulated, to be honest. So shall we find out if the radios work? I don't know what sort of range this has. So 40 miles range. Yeah, we're way outside of the range of that beacon. What about the one over here at China Lake? Just keep an eye on where the airplane is. So TACAN at China Lake, 111.6. Are we within 40 miles of it, do you think? Just about. Let's try it. How do we transfer? Do we just click this? No. There we go. So, did that wake up? No, it didn't wake up the... So maybe it hasn't got TACAN. Maybe it only works with VORs, which isn't surprising really. Although we could have bad coverage because of the hills in the way. Okay, so how are we doing with the route? Coming down towards Kelso Valley, so we need to go pretty much south of here then. Are the yokes not turning? They're very gently turning. It's very, very sensitive. If I turn it the full amount, it doesn't have a lot of yoke movement. So it was very light on the controls, I imagine. Whether that's accurate, I don't know. So I believe this aeroplane was developed by Airplane Heaven. You can buy it from Just Flight, that's where I originally bought it from. But I got it quite early on when Flight Sim came out. It was one of the early aircraft that came out. It's always been a bit of a favourite, but I just haven't flown it for a long time. But it's pretty obvious now though, looking back at it, a lot of other aeroplanes have overtaken it in terms of flight modelling, and it just looks nice though. Okay, where's this airfield then? So if we get a bit of height, we'll be able to see it. Running out of airspeed in a hurry. Let's just let the nose fall gently. And there's the airfield. So which way is the wind? So if we go for runway 26, that suits us actually, because then we get to look out sideways and see the airfield on approach. We'll do a touch and go, although this is going to be a touch and go in towards the hill, which is not the wisest decision ever, but we'll see. So the speed doesn't come off in a hurry. It's a very slippery little aeroplane. But the flaps. Okay, we'll let some of this speed come off as we approach. If we suddenly drop a wing, oh, it's starting to sink. I'm starting to have to feed in more elevator, so I don't want to get much slower. Oh, it bounced well there. It certainly moves around. Just trying to get some speed up. We're not really getting a lot of speed up in a hurry, are we? We have to stay low to the hillside. It's holding on at about 70 knots with full throttle. Gear up, flaps up. It's slippery, but it doesn't actually have a lot of power. So it takes a while to gain airspeed. Okay, so we're going to go heading off across the hills, about 205 degrees down to, now is it Tehachapi Municipal? Tehachapi? I think I've got that right, Tehachapi. Okay, let's find a reference point on the horizon to aim towards. It's about the right sort of angle. So, that hilltop. I think that's about right. Or maybe not, a bit more to the right. So, that hilltop. Oh, we don't have to be super accurate. My word, that's a lot of windmills over on those hilltops. You know, we might have to go over there and have a look at them. We've got time, so... Go and fly along the ridge. Bit of a detour, but doesn't matter. What altitude are we at? So, oh my word, 6,000 feet. I haven't adjusted the mixture. No wonder we didn't have any power taking off. If this was simulating it properly, we'd have made a real mess of the engine by now. With unburnt fuel. This really does show the limits of the simulation, doesn't it? That the blades are all aligned with each other. You can see where they've made generalizations here and there, although they're not all exactly the same. It's very odd. Okay, back out across the hills. Had a bit of fun. So, okay. Oh, that's phasing really badly, isn't it? I think that's more of a bug with the simulator than with the aeroplane. There is animation there, it's just not moving very far. Now, as I said, this aeroplane came out very, very early in the Life of Flight Simulator when the various dev teams were still learning their trade. You know, learning how to work with the sim. Having said that, the material modelling on it is very, very good. I always think it's very easy to criticise when very, very few of us have ever tried to build an airplane in a simulator, so we don't know what's involved. And you've got 3D modelling, you've got the material modelling, let alone the texture artwork. There's multiple levels to it. Then there's the flight modelling, which is a completely different aspect of it. All of the animations, all of the avionics simulation. I just tend to enjoy all the airplanes, to be honest. I just like flying. I always have done. As long as the aeroplane behaves somewhat like the real thing, I will enjoy it. And in this simulator, it's really about the landscape as well, isn't it? Oh dear, bless me. I did say at the start I've got a cold. Right, we need to do a left turn at some point. Back through the hills. It's a sightseeing expedition at the moment, isn't it? It's all the little details that always get me with the scenery. When you see like small buildings in a secluded valley in the middle of nowhere, and you just think, you know, somebody actually lives there or works there, or you wonder about their commute, of how they get there. So we are climbing quite steeply at the moment. This is a false flat around here, We've been climbing for some time, look, we're going up to 4,000 feet again. Oh, I see what you mean. Sorry, I'm just looking at live stream comments about the modelling of the windmills. Yeah, but I think it's a lot of the airplanes suffer from the same thing, though. Where, you know, sometimes you get an exceptionally modelled airplane. Oh, look at the airspeed dropping off. Am I going to make this? I haven't got any room to manoeuvre here. Down to 100 knots. This is dangerous. We're going for the lowest point on the exit here. We're holding 100 knots, we should be okay. Yeah, we're fine. That was a bit dangerous. I didn't really think about that. I was busy talking and not watching what the airplane was doing or where we were. So coming back up to 5,500 feet, 6,000 feet soon. Let's have a look outside, see where we are. I'm just coming back down towards Tehachapi Municipal. I think the stress is on the beginning of it. I think it's Tehachapi. I did look it up earlier because I wasn't sure, and I'd like to, if I can, get the names right. I don't always get them right. I think the most famous recently was in Australia, Ballina, and I called it Ballina. Whoa, that's a lot of windmills out there on that ridge. Millions of them. I can see another airplane in the distance. And an airfield directly in front of us. So is that the one? Yeah, that's the one we're heading into, the Tehachapi. So if we go fly overhead and then do a left circuit in. Should we find out who that is? Okay. Tehachapi, yeah. That's what I thought. I wonder if the pappies actually work. They're all showing whites at the moment, so if I dive, do I get some reds? Yes I do. So I'm far too low now. Let's hold it off. Okay, which way next? 214 degrees, so basically across these hills, just over here. Yep, just to keep heading for that hill and cross over to the right of it, and we should be good. How are we doing? We're 5,000 feet. Just coming up. A bit north of where we need to be, but that's fine. Going for the less rugged route around the edge of the hills. Wouldn't it be funny if all the change could fall out of your pockets and collect on the glass? And pens and pencils and the clipboard. That would be great, wouldn't it, if the clipboard could actually go clattering around the cockpit? Should we go and annoy these people that live here? Seem to have something of a subsidence or subsidence problem with their property. Okay, I'm not going to try and go over that hill. I think that's a recipe for disaster. I think we'll go round. Oh, I don't know, we're still doing 140. Let's try this. Nearly. Just exchanging airspeed for altitude in a hurry. We're almost up above the clouds now, look. So we are now 7,000. And there's bits and pieces of snow up here. So we're heading in towards the Vortak at, no, what's the name of this one? Gorman. Quail Lake Sky Park, and then we're heading down further south to Santa Paula and then along the coast into Santa Barbara. One nice thing about this aeroplane is because it has the glass roof, you can do these big sweeping turns and get great big panoramic views. There will always, I was just reading the live stream comments, there will always be room for improvement. At the moment, look at the clouds. I mean, okay, it's the best clouds we've had in a simulator, but they're not crashing into the hills and cascading into the valleys, are they? Sometimes it fakes, or you know, sometimes it fools the eye and makes it look like that. Or when an aircraft passes through a cloud, you don't see the vortices, you know, of the aircraft disturbing the cloud. Now the bizarre thing is the simulator does actually do that, but it's just not rendered in a visible manner. So if you imagine when you're flying along, the simulator actually forms a box around the aeroplane and it models molecules flying over the shape. I think it calls them voxels. It's goes back to a simplified way of modelling things, voxel space, which was used by the Comanche simulator about, I don't know, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. Comanche Maximum Overkill, I think it was called. It was an arcade helicopter combat simulator, but it had a very innovative way of rendering before the 3D hardware all took over. Yep, I grew up on the wireframe sims as well. So yeah, the first proper simulator I had was Flight Simulator 2 on the Atari ST back in about 1989, maybe. It would be interesting actually, because there was an Airbus simulator by Talonsoft, I think they were called. It would be interesting to go back and run it now and see what they had actually simulated. Okay, let's have a look at the map. So we're quite a way north of where we should be, so we're gonna... I guess we could get to that valley, couldn't we, where the road comes through from Grapevine, and follow the valley. Well, they're saying that there's another route over here, isn't there, through the hills, and there's a lake. I'm not sure we can see it from here yet. If we just dip down away from this cloud and follow this natural valley over here. so we're going in the right direction. I'm always quite taken up, because I work as a software developer, although I don't work with graphics, I'm always taken up with how they have done trees in this simulator. It's by far the best way that trees have been done in a simulator, or the best cheat way of doing it, because they appear as three-dimensional structures, but they're actually not. It's a total trick of the eye, or sleight of hand then, let's put it that way. But it works very, very well. It's very effective. They do a similar trick inside buildings when they don't have an interior, and there's a trick of the eye with that as well, where it appears three-dimensional, it's not. So there are some very, very nice tricks in the way they've modelled things, you know, to allow so much to be drawn at such speed. There are elements of the trees from 2024 appearing in the sim these days. I don't know if you've noticed it. Some of the airports have got them, and they've got the branches and the boughs drawn in, and they look very similar to the trees that have appeared in some of the promotional reels of 2024. So I think there's various tricks they're using to render the trees better. Yeah, I think the Bahamas has some of the new trees. Pylons. So we should be just round the bend from the radio mast. So we head off across the flat of the desert to the south of us to the next range of hills, which are over there. So we go off across this, is it a salt flat or something? Or just some flat land. It's the freeway. Will I continue to play 2020 after 24 has been released? I very much doubt it. I'll go straight to 24 as soon as it's available. I may have to upgrade my machine, so I should really be putting money to one side for that right now, but I'm not. I do need to get a new SSD at some point as well. I'm running out of room. I'm running on a 3080 RTX graphics card at the moment. I may bite the bullet and go up to a 4090, but we'll wait and see what the prices are like. It may be, though, the arrival of 24 pushes up the cost of graphics cards, so it might be good to take the leap now rather than later. But it may be that because, well, it's being talked about, but 2024, the engine may be multi-threaded, which would change the game entirely in terms of, you know, allowing the simulator to manage the loading of assets in the background, but it will have to be a rewrite of the engine because multi-threaded programming is really hard. In terms of, you know, the memory management model, because if you've got lots of concurrent processes that are all trying to share the same RAM on top of the graphics card as well, that's having to be managed by multiple processes simultaneously, I wouldn't want to be programming it. So we were talking about trees earlier, weren't we? They do look very good, don't they? They're a little bit too uniform at times, but I can put up with that. So what about direction? We're going the right direction. Right, so we need to start climbing now, otherwise we could find ourselves in trouble if we have to make a sudden climb. Oh, we're just looking at Molly Grass's comment there. Oh, you're welcome. One of the few things I haven't really covered on the channel is VATSIM, but a lot of the time that's because I can't guarantee when I'll be able to get in front of the sim. It's like this evening, I only sat down with 5 minutes before I started broadcasting. Mostly because I've been working hard on the virtual airline, getting things up and running and supporting it and writing documentation, and we had to do a massive server upgrade last night, which was not fun, but it has pretty much solved all the problems with the airline over, you know, at a stroke, really. So is this actually grass? If we go and do a low pass over the edge of this, has it got grass modelled on it, or is it just like scrub? I guess it's a logging team has been here, haven't they? You can see, like, I guess that's logs that are on the ground. I ought to keep an eye on where I'm going, really, instead of becoming interested in everything and anything around me. I love when you get these boulders showing through. Yeah, you can see logs look on the ground. There's a logging team has been up here. Now there's a view you don't get every day. So yeah, we're carrying straight on then down this way out over the end of the valley to the sea. It's quite spectacular, isn't it, around here? I wonder if we can hold it in knife edge with the rudder to just lower the wing. No, we'll probably lose airspeed too much. Oh no, it's holding on to airspeed, but we haven't got as much rudder authority. It's not a very big tailplane in this aeroplane. It's typical of planes of the 30s. They didn't realise the tails had to be big. Look, you can see it's like a Spitfire tail. If you've ever tried to dogfight a realistic Spitfire in DCS, they're a nightmare. trying to keep the tail behind the nose. What area am I in? I'm just coming down towards Santa Barbara, well, the coast to the east of Santa Barbara in the US. I'm on the Southeast Asia server. And someone's come up to join us. So what are they flying? Very cool. Okay, so we can see the town down here in the bottom of the valley. That's going to be Fillmore that we can see ahead of us on the delta down here. Let's see how they'll react to this then. Are they going to try and copy us? I think if you try and roll a Baron, they can be quite lethal. If you get them into the wrong attitude, you can go into the ground. I think I was talking to somebody a while ago that apparently there are several cases of Barons entering flat spins, and they're unrecoverable from flat spins, the real plane. Okay, so where do we go once we get to Fillmore? We can turn right along the valley, go to Santa Paula, we'll do a touch and go at Santa Paula, and then we'll carry on down to Santa Barbara. Maybe I should be the one forming formation for a change. Okay, where's Santa Paula? Let's have a look on the map. About 10 miles or 8 miles down the river, the Santa Clara River. Runway is 2,700 feet long. It's quite a long runway actually. Yeah. Shouldn't be a problem. We'll maintain height so we can see it from a distance. Okay, so we're going to follow the coast basically along to Santa Barbara now. So we'll continue on past the edge of these hills. Should go lower along the main road. Which road? Which road? The freeway or the provincial road's better, isn't it? Oh, thank you very much, Anger Tissues. That's much appreciated. Yeah, thank you for all the feedback, everybody. Everyone that comments, likes, subscribes. I don't like doing the thing that so many do where they say, oh, you know, please like, subscribe, whatever. But I really do appreciate everybody that likes and subscribes to the channel. The feedback is fantastic. Obviously with the feedback that guides me quite often in what to do next. Although I've got 101 ideas of what to go and do, but just recently obviously you know I've been plugging away at building the virtual airline virtual flight, which is why I've not been doing so much flying. This is the first time I've really flown in a week properly. I'm guessing these are vineyards. Suburbia. Very expensive houses on the coast near Santa Barbara. Picket fence. Suburbia. There's more of it coming up, like. So this must be photogrammetry then, along here. Yes, this is all photogrammetry. That's fascinating, isn't it? Just how good it is. That looks vaguely hospital-like to me. I'm sure if we look on the map we can find out what all these buildings are. So, just coming past Ventura Beach. Down here. Some places the photogrammetry is very well done, isn't it? I guess it depends on the quality of the data they have available to do the photogrammetry with. Should fly along the beach for the rest of the way. So here's the freeway along the coast. Follow the coast road. God, isn't it beautiful along here? Look at that. An amazing part of the world. I think Santa Barbara is out over there. Just wondering what boats are out there. Curiosity's getting the better of me with these boats. I'm going to have to go down and have a look at them. Okay, let's get back to the land before we have a huge accident and get very wet. Okay, I think that's Santa Barbara directly in front of us. So the airport, I think, is this end, isn't it? I wonder how much those houses cost up on top of the hills. Let's have a look at the map. Oh, we've got quite a long way to go yet. It's way down that way. I wonder if this thing can go as fast as a Baron. It probably can in a dive, look. Oh, it's not a Baron, it's somebody else. Oh no, it is the Baron. So going absolutely flat out, we can just about outrun them for a few moments. Let's go out over the water so we can get the road and the hills in. So we can see both. Looks amazing, doesn't it? Sometimes when Flight Simulator gets it right, it gets it very right. So have a quick look at the map. So this is the Santa Barbara. This is actually the main town we're just coming up to now on the right. So if we just pull out to the side, let's go and scoot over to the co-pilot side of the cockpit and actually have a look. So what's going on here? It's this photogrammetry that didn't work very well. In Interesting. Well, I bet that place is worth some money, hey? So we can see the runway in the distance now. That's where we're going. So we'll fly past and then come back and land from the opposite direction, because then it helps us get to the terminal without to taxi very far. Yeah, I can't imagine how much the houses cost this part of the world. It must be incredible numbers. But if people will pay it, then the prices won't come down. They're interesting. Some sort of condo, I guess, some complex. Okay, so here's Santa Barbara Airport. I haven't got the scenery for this. There is a scenery available for it, which gives it kind of a Mexican style sculpted terminal building. The real thing is it's kind of like frontier style architecture, which it hasn't got obviously in the stock version. It's just got the usual cardboard buildings. We don't need anything like this bigger runway, really, do we? Should we taxi us in from outside? That's better. Do you see where I'm going now? Right. What else can we find? There we go. Master power. Oh, we forgot to do the avionics button, didn't we? There we go. And we can we open this end? So that, ladies and gentlemen, was the Globe Swift in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's getting on a bit. It was one of the earliest aircraft that came out for the simulator, but it's still great fun to fly, as you saw. And we've arrived at Santa Barbara. I really do need to get the scenery for Santa Barbara, don't I? I wonder if I have a word with Orbex, if they'll let me have a copy. Then I could obviously feature it and show you what the proper version of the airfield looks like. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully see you soon. And just before we go, should we have a look in and see how the airline is doing today? So, oh my word, there's quite a few airplanes in the air. So, oh my word, there is actually quite a few airplanes. Yeah, it's going well. Let's put it that way. Let's have a look and see who's flying around in Europe. There's a few different people around. Very good. Right, anyway, I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you all again soon. Take care.